when we're talking the games that featured the most highly ranked teams, the one I was at on Friday night was number 1 RBC, number 3 Middletown South at the time, and you think that's showed kind of the gap, I would say, between the top of the top and the next. RBC 35-0, and you could almost kind of tell from the first quarter that this was a mismatch. You know, our RBC's defense was incredible. I mean, Middletown South, which is a pretty solid offense, had under 100 total yards. I think 85 yards. The RBC defense's ability to close on the ball, you know, just when you think you have some space, you have some opening, they're right on top of it. I mean, we know Savino Portella as a great running back, but he's also one of the best safeties in the Shore Conference, if not the best. I mean, at one point, he leaped in the air and volleyball spiked the pass into the ground because he was all over it. I mean, they had, you know, the Middletown South offense just on their heels the whole game. On the other side of the ball, Emmanuel Ross looked every bit the part of the high-level FBS recruit. He's got 11 offers. He just took a visit to Clemson the weekend before the game. He had 2 touchdown catches, one where he just got behind the defense, another where he took a short pass, made a few juke moves, ran, 35 yards or so. He looked really impressive. Najee Rahman caught a touchdown pass, so that's the other thing. You start moving the safety over to Ross's side, well, they got a guy on the other side who can absolutely hurt you. Frankie Williams was really efficient again. I think he only threw 2 incomplete passes in the whole game. So he looked good. And one player that stood out to me besides the obvious guys that we all know about was Rob Stolfa. He had a really nice punt return that helped set up a touchdown. He had another nice kickoff return, a few long pass plays. He's really good in space, laterally. He can shake guys. There were 2 or 3 guys right in front of his face, and he was getting separation and getting yards. He's definitely another weapon they have. I mean, and then, they have Portella slamming the ball up the middle, and then Torin Harmon running out to the perimeter. There's just too many people to try and cover, and their line just dominated up front. I mean, that game combined with what Donovan Catholic did to Manalapan just made it really apparent to me that it feels like there's 3 teams, Donovan, RBC, and Toms River North, that just seem like on another level from the rest of the Shore Conference. Even though I would put Point Borough maybe right in that next tier below them, Rumson, but those 3 teams to me just seem like there's a big gulf from 3 to 4.
Every year there's a drop off at a certain spot, and I think you hit it on the head with those 3 teams. Red Bank Catholic, which is they don't have huge statistics because they spreading the ball around and the game gets out of hand a little bit, running clock. But Williams was their question mark going into the season, the outstanding sophomore. 73% completion, 11 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Not bad. 5 touchdown receptions by Emmanuel Ross. He's got only 9 catches, but almost 200 yards, 5 touchdowns.
No, it was funny. I was talking to him after the game, and I said, there's so many stars on this team. You must feel like when you do get the ball, you got to make something happen. You got to put it in the end zone. He said, you're right. This is a team where you have to capitalize on your opportunities because there's so many other options where the quarterback can go with the ball.
Yeah.
That, when you touch it, you better make something happen because, they'll just go to someone else if you're not producing. And, but yeah, he definitely looked like if you showed up at that game and you said, well, there's one guy on here that has 11 FBS offers that's, the top guy, you would have noticed him pretty soon. And even though, again, he didn't touch the ball a ton because they have so many other weapons and because it was running clock and all that, the game was kind of shortened. But, RBC was as impressive as you could ask for the number 1 team. And just like Donovan was as impressive in their win, over Manalapan. So that sets up the huge game that we'll get to later in the preview. But you went to a game that actually turned out just like we thought. An all-out shootout between 2 good quarterbacks, Brick Memorial and Ocean. I mean, Tyler Douglas, what a performance.
My fingers were hurting from tweeting. I don't think anybody was listening to my tweets except you. So next time I'm just going to text you because I'm tweeting things out. Does it hurt anybody to like my stuff, please? But I'm tweeting out Tyler Douglas touchdown run, and all of a sudden Connor Dietz does it, and then this guy does. Right. I mean, it was a shootout, and Tyler Douglas is everything that you would think he was. 473 yards total offense, 7 touchdowns, but he's a dude. And he freelances a lot because he kind of makes things happen off of broken plays, and he's either going to run it or and he can run it down your throat, or he could throw it deep too.
Now, I mean, obviously, I wasn't following everything last year. What is different about him this year that's made him so dominant compared to what he was last year?
Mateo Andrews. That's the big difference. Mateo Andrews is a guy that can take it to the house wherever he's at. He had 3 catches for I think 170 something yards, 3 touchdowns. He's a dude. He's a dude. But they're healthy. That's the thing too. They're healthy. They're playing good football, and they're back to Big Red football. They really are. But don't count out Brick Memorial. Connor Dietz is also a good talent. He had over 300 yards passing, and they wouldn't go away. A turnover in the red zone. They didn't capitalize on a 4th down play. So they were right in there. They were really fighting to the end.
Yeah, I mean, that's just got to be frustrating for them defensively. They're struggling so much defensively. I mean, what was the score? It was 49-35.
Ben Gerard, the inside linebacker.
49-33. Yeah, I mean, it's like they just need to clean up their defensive side of the ball because that's really just hurt them in their big games this year.
Scott, you're right. They gave up 33 points, but they also stopped them at the goal line. Ben Gerard ripped the ball out of Connor Dietz's hand at the goal line and got a fumble recovery out of it. Great defensive play, but you're right. They're giving up a lot of yards and points, but they're also scoring it. At some point, they're going to have to stop people and just win games 30-something, nothing, and all that.
I have to say right now, again, it's still relatively early, but when you're talking offensive player of the year in the short conference, Tyler Douglas has to be right near the front of that conversation. I mean, I know Tom Zerber-North's got some guys, RBC, Donovan, and all that, Point Burrow, but you'd have to put Douglas right in that conversation after his performance these first couple weeks.
100%. I would consider him almost like an MVP of the short conference because he does it at safety. He's a quarterback. He kicks. He does it all. So that's something big with him. But
and not only that, we also should mention that for that division race, that puts Ocean in the driver's seat with that victory. To me, they are the favorite to lock down that's the Freedom Division, I believe.
Yep.
So that victory, I think, puts them as the clear favorite to wrap up that division title.
100%.
Which is, a big jump forward for them after a few seasons of some up and down play and some struggles being a young team. So it looks like they're back to the Ocean of old, a championship level type contender. Speaking of another game that had important divisional implications, you went to a wild one on Saturday, Big Kaboo Warrior Field. Manasquan goes for 2 and the win in overtime. Raritan gets the stop and walks away with a 1 point.
I didn't realize it. I forgot, but Manasquan beat them last year in overtime at Raritan, 35-28.
Right, and they rallied just to get that game into overtime. I mean, I remember that Raritan was in control of that game. Swan roared back and beat them. So now this time, Raritan gets their revenge.
Raritan came back. Patton didn't play. Detlinger didn't play. They did a nice job. Jameer Howard looked great. Took the kickoff for a touchdown, 88 yards in the beginning.
No, I mean, that's a testament to Manasquan and how many key people they're missing that they took them to the absolute brink like that.
Yeah, but speaking on Raritan, though, that was a big program win. They're 3-0 for the first time since 2015. I love Logan Goldsberry, right? Yeah. He had a great game making his reads, but I loved his third phase, the option part, that he was hitting Falzone and Calicari, and they were just in stride running down the sidelines. I think he's the key to the team because his quarterback development has been so impressive the last couple of weeks that was one of their concerns. Who's their quarterback? So 3-0 heading into next week, which is a big game we'll talk about later. But that was a huge win going for. But I give him credit, Coach from Manasquan, Bryce, that he went for 2 at the end. 28-27.
Were you surprised by that decision in the sense that they were home and that they had, sent the game into overtime?
Well, his kicker was out. Detlinger's out. They did make an extra point earlier with the guy, but everybody was sweating it out. I liked his call. We're going to win it or lose it in 2 yards. The play action over the middle, got deflected. It was a great game. It was a great atmosphere, and Raritan is on a roll.
No, yeah, whenever those two teams play, it always seems to come down right to the end, and it didn't disappoint again. And that's just a huge win for Raritan playoff seeding wise, you think. I know Manasquan doesn't have a win yet, but they're going to pick up some. So that's definitely going to help them moving forward. And right now you'd have to put them just behind Point Borough, along with St. John Vianney, as like the main challengers to Borough in that division. We'll talk about that game coming up, another big one. But yeah, that was a great win by the Rockets.
How about this win over in Manahawkin? Southern Regional. I mean, an inexperienced team had a couple injuries. Chuck didn't know what to think of his team. He said, we got to get better week to week. Well, he just shocked ashore and beat the number 7 ranked team, Long Branch, 7-0. 7-0, picked off a pass in the corner of the end zone with a cup under a minute, and the place went crazy. That was one of the biggest.
Yeah, I mean, their pass defense played amazing, right?
Yeah.
3 interceptions. Like you said. One, Dom Criselli, I think, right in the end zone under a minute to go. That was one of those games where you kept seeing the score update, and it kept not changing, and you kept waiting. Oh, well, Long Branch probably tie it.
Yeah.
They're pretty good. And then you're like, no, Southern got the shutout. That's a tremendous just program win for them. Great job again. One of our previous assistant coach of the week winners, Matt Abato's defense, got 4 turnovers, including clutch turnovers in the fourth quarter to preserve that victory. Southern, that was an eye opener. I mean, I think that not a lot of people have that one, but Xander Murray, Andy Folletta also had interceptions.
Armando's
with a pair of sacks. They really just stepped up big in a game that I don't think a lot of people necessarily gave them a big chance in.
Remember this name, Armando Sanchez, defensive end, offensive guard. He was player of the week for us on defense.
He had a couple sacks too, right?
Couple
2
sacks.
Fumble recovery.
The thing that's impressive is Southern went to that new style offense. That's keeping the clock going. They're not moving the ball a whole bit, but they're playing outstanding defense. So they're going through some growing pains, but they're winning, and they beat a real big, highly rated team.
That wasn't the only upset of the week. No. That one came in, and then there was another one right behind it.
Colts Neck?
Yeah.
I think
that division people there was a thought of it's probably Jackson and maybe Marlboro, and Colts Neck was like, let's not get crazy. Don't forget about us.
I talked to Coach Ahern after the game, and I said, why didn't you kick a field goal? He goes, we were preparing for it, but we just happened to score at the end and all that, which was a good call.
You talk about confidence in your run game. He scored, Scully scores with 2.9 seconds up. Yeah. So technically, if he got tackled before the end zone,
done.
They're probably, so that was a little bit of a gamble. But knowing Matt Ahern, I can't think of any coach that trusts the run game more than him. And again, if you have Scully, why not? I mean, he's one of the best running backs in the short.
That division is wide open.
Right.
One of the few ones wide open. Colts Neck just opened the door for.
That's a huge win as far as Marlboro's chances. Yeah. But still, Marlboro has to go through Howell, Colts Neck, and Jackson. So there's a long way to go. You could easily see that being like a tri-championship where this team beat that team, beat the other team. But we'll see how it all shakes out. But yeah, those were definitely the 2 big, upset wins of the week. And
then don't forget Corey Davies. Never, ever count him out. When he has a down game, you put money on it that he's going to come back, and he had a great game plan and shocked Howell, the number 17th ranked team. 26-13. Mark Aguayo had a great game, 2 touchdown passes. But I think that Howell has problems with that style of offense because it gave him fits.
I also just think getting their junior wide receiver,
Sean Corrado
back. I know he'd been banged up and injured.
Yeah.
He had some big plays in the game. He had a touchdown catch. Chase Enlow, another 2 touchdowns. Their running back, he's having a nice season. But yes, that was a big bounce back win for Freehold Township, and also. Again, we keep harping on playoff seeding and power rankings, but that's another one of those games where that was a swing type game when you're trying to get a state playoff berth. That's a huge one to get. So that was a great job by the Patriots there.
Also, congratulations to somebody who just won his first game, but not as an assistant, as a head coach, Jeremy Schulte. Rumpson got on the win column this year, and I have a feeling Coach Schulte is going to win a couple more games in his career. I have a feeling.
Yeah.
I
think he at Rumson, you just step in and the wins keep coming as the way they've set that program. They do such a great job, and they have such continuity on their staff. But a 44-20 win over Wall, I thought that was a real breakout game. Their sophomore quarterback, Owen O'Toole, 223 yards passing and 5 TDs. including a pair of touchdowns to Nick Rigby. So I think Rumson is going to become a team that later in the season, no one is going to want to play them because O'Toole's a sophomore. He's getting more confidence every week. He's spreading the ball around to 4 or 5 different wide receivers. They have good backs.
Yep.
You know, they are, I think, with each passing game, getting back to the old Rumson a little bit more dangerous. So, yeah, I think that that's a big confidence win for them. And, yeah, congrats. And it's rare in the short conference to see a father and son getting wins. Jerry Schulte, Jeremy's dad, led them to state championships, you know, longtime head coach and assistant. I mean, you think of what, you know, Ron Signorito Sr. and Jr., Chip LaBarca Sr. and Jr. There's not a ton of father and son head coach, you know, combinations in the Shore. So that's a nice little feather in the cap for that.
And we're going to talk playoff scenarios in another show. But they're Group 2. They get double multiplier. We'll speak about that another time. They will be a very dangerous team. Don't be surprised if they're a 1 or 2 seed in any of the brackets there. How about
talk about a coach getting his first win? How about a coach getting his 200th win?
Dude, he's old.
Mark Costantino, Shore Regional.
His 200th win. You know, he likes to make people think that he's young, but 200 wins gives it away. He's been there a long time. Won 58-0 in a game, and you know, Shore is just reloading, and they're going to be very good. They'll be contending for another championship in the Patriot Division. 200 wins is a big credit to him because he's got it.
I mean, he's only the 9th coach in Shore Conference history to reach that milestone. I mean, when you start getting in there with the Vic Caboose and the Warren Wolves, and the one guy I identify most with Kaz is Mike Ciccatelli, the former legendary coach at Keyport, because he and Kaz had a bunch of great battles over the years, Keyport versus Shore, seemingly all the time for division titles and the state playoffs. Mark has won 4 state titles, 7 division titles, and competing for another division title this year. I remember that 2015 Shore team that went 12-0. That to me is the best team, the best Shore team I had ever seen. At Shore Regional. I don't know if he probably doesn't want to get anybody angry by pointing out which one was the best, but no, that's an amazing milestone. And again, if you're in that conversation with those guys, you're definitely doing some great things.
Yeah, he was all smiles after that game. He really was. So congratulations, Coach Kaz, with that. So now he's got to work on 300. So
he'll be Grandpa Kaz by that point.
Great. Let's talk about Point Borough, though, real quickly, though. Point Borough, number 5 ranked team, kind of just was rolling again against a Homedale team. We talked about, you know, it was going to be a quick game. It was going to be all that. They did what they had to do. They won 41-10. They seem like they're rolling in a big collision, and we'll talk about it later with them playing Raritan. You know, Connor Siliento is one of those guys who touches the ball a couple times but has big highlight plays. He had 108 yards rushing on 2 touchdowns. I think it's great when they do it, though. When they run that option and the guy runs it for a touchdown, they do a great job of reading it. They really do. Point Borough. They're just clicking right now. They're playing aggressive.
I mean, that offense is most deadly when you have 3 guys that you all really have to respect, and they have them. You know, they have Salento as the slot back on the perimeter. They have Jake Croce as the fullback crashing up the middle, who also has some breakaway speed. And then they have Matt Oliphant as like a game-breaking runner at quarterback. So there's not a guy that you just think, well, we can live with him getting the ball a couple times. We'll be fine. You know, that you know, fine. We're going to throw everyone at Oliphant. You know, make him give the ball up. Well, those other 2 guys might each put up 100 yards and you get beat. So, yeah, they have the perfect personnel for that offense.
It was 41-3 at half. They finished the game 41-10. You know, they're doing what they got to do, you know. And
in that same division, another big win, St. John Vianney, watch out. That's now 3 in a row. And this one was 30-0 over Monmouth Regional. I mean, I think in the preseason, they were a little bit of an unknown because of the transfers and all the stuff. So you thought, okay, Point Borough, Manasquan, Raritan. Those are kind of like, you know, Point Borough's the front runner and the other 2 will be chasing them. Watch out. Vianney's now right in that conversation and in that mix as a team looking to step up and challenge Point Borough for that division. I mean, Kyle Various is having an all-shore season every single week.
Yeah.
He's making huge plays, 30-yard touchdown catch, pick 6 in this game. And Aaron Van Treese stepping in after Rosado, their starting quarterback, transferred right before the season. And he's done a really nice job. He had 3 total touchdowns. And not only, I think the most encouraging thing is, you know, the defense had such a dominant effort, limiting Julian Jones under 100 yards rushing and getting the shutout. I mean, they seem like week by week they're gaining more confidence.
I mean, Kyle Varese, I have him ranked as one of the top 2023 receivers, but he's not playing receiver. He's playing running back, and he's catching the ball out of the backfield and doing all that. But Coach Papkin,
he's kind of their Swiss Army knife guy.
Coach Papkin and his staff's done a great job, because if you've seen him week 1 or week 0, they didn't look very good against Red Bank Catholic, but nobody really is. And they kind of got better and better and better. They're on a 3-game winning streak, and they're excited, and they look like they have a chance, make some noise in that division.
And another team that's picking up a little bit of steam, Middletown North, 28-10 over Lacey. Luke Sheehan, another 4 touchdown passes.
He's good.
So he's looking like we thought he would. I mean, after the tough game against Manalapan to start the year, they're starting to get a little bit of momentum.
Jack Lopez, one of the best 2-way linemen out there in the short conference, a Division I.
You don't want to be a negative, but the 2 teams North has beaten, Central and Lacey, are combined winless.
Yeah.
So the jury's, they still have to prove it. They have that chance because they're playing a Southern team coming off that win over Long Branch.
Huge game.
So we're going to get some questions answered on that front, I feel like, this week.
Huge game.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are the real standout games. Red Bank Regional got their first win of the year, 31-12 over Toms River South. And Toms River East, their first win of the year over Pinelands. So, good to see teams breaking in the win column. One other team worth mentioning, I think, is Matawan. We talked a lot about Manchester's good start. Matawan went in there and beat them 36-6.
They're young. They're young and exciting. Amir Martinez at quarterback. Colin Palumbo as a running back, a sophomore. We know about Nick Windsor, the outstanding tackle, defensive lineman, but they have a kid, Jaden Elijah, who is 6'6", 300 pounds. He's a sophomore. I'm telling you right now, he will be a D1 D1 scholarship kid by next year. They are mammoth at the 2 tackles. They really
are.
The
other thing is, you look at their schedule, right? They have a chance to be 5-1 going into their game against Middletown South next month. I mean, they played Pinelands, Homedale, who's still searching for their first win, and Toms River East, who just got a win. I mean, those are 3 winnable games for them. They could very easily be 5-1 going into the game against South. So, they're a team to keep an eye on here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, and in that division, Barnegat went to 2-1, beat a Jackson Liberty team. JoJo Bivens had a big day, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns. They're playing well, and them and Matawan look like the 2 teams in that Liberty division. Or East can say something about that with the bounce.
I would say the most exciting game of the week. You were at Saturday had 2 incredible games. You were at one of them, the Raritan-Manasquan game. But Keyport 33, Point Beach 30, back and forth, one explosive play after another. Point Beach hits a 76-yard touchdown to take the lead, a 79-yard touchdown, I think, with a minute and change left. But then Naz Treadwell, the great running back for Keyport, takes a screen pass and takes that 62 yards to the house in the final minute. I mean, what a thriller in that division. Yeah,
I mean, they bounced back from week 0 loss. Now they're going to be playing Shore, in a big when they do play in a big game. Nazir Treadwell is an outstanding tailback and defensive back too. Great player right there. Barnegat won, like we said. How about Marlboro quietly 54-0 to Freehold? Like nobody, I'm sure they didn't play a lot of their starters in that game. They're on a roll. I mean, being ranked number 12.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely get into more talking about Marlboro when we're looking at this week's coming games. But the second straight year they've started 3-0. So yeah, Freehold obviously is really struggling at this point. They're just trying to find any consistency and find get their defense in gear to try to get some stops. I mean, they've given up at least 50 points in all 3 of their games. But they're young and, they don't have a ton of depth. So, yeah, every year there's some teams that are just taking their lumps a little bit and learning, and you just hope that this is all fodder for next year for them to come back and be stronger and make strides.
It's hard to recover sometimes, yeah.
Right. And you look at the same thing, Neptune. They're another team still searching for their first win. They did give Brick a run. Brick 16-8 over them. That was an important win for the Green Dragons as they kind of start to make their playoff push. But yeah, I mean, I think that when you look back on this week, though, the two games that stand out are those two big upsets. And, RBC and Donovan setting themselves apart from two good teams and setting up a huge game that we'll be talking about coming up.
Jaden Johnson from Brick, though, is a sophomore that is going to be heard of in the next couple of years. I mean, he had a reverse for a touchdown, created 16-0. I think Neptune's going to be getting better as the weeks go on. They don't have a lot of players on their team. They're all playing a lot of both ways, but they are getting better. Tom's River North had a huge win. Huge win.
64-0. Yeah, I mean, against a winless team. I think what you're going to find is they're going to have – it's like a good problem to have, but it's still a problem. Tom's River North is going to be heavily favored in all their remaining regular season games. I mean, I would say they're 4 touchdowns better looking at their schedule than all those teams, and that's not totally a knock on those teams. That's just how good Tom's River North is.
That's how good they are.
But the point is, you're caught between, and this is an interesting thing as a coach. You want to get your guys work into the second half, but you don't want to get the other coach fired up by feeling like you're running it up on him. So, I mean, how do you get guys their reps knowing, hey, we can't have guys playing one half for the whole rest of the season, because if we're in a dogfight in the fourth quarter in November, and guys haven't played in that scenario in a month and a half, that could be a problem. But on the other hand, you don't want, like you said, you don't want to aggravate people by feeling like, oh, you're throwing the ball on me and you're up, 50-0, and you're thinking, well, our quarterback's only attempted 3 passes in the game. I got to get him some work.
Scott, I mean, when you're in games like this, I've been on the winning end of it and also losing it, not as much as that, but it's not fun. It's not fun for both teams. It's not fun for the team that's losing, and for the other team, those kids want to play. They practice all week. They, they think they're getting scholarships, and all of a sudden they're getting pulled out in the first quarter, or maybe the play calling is going to be a little bit more different, a little more cautiously, one thing, and everybody has sour pusses on. And they're, hey, guys, we won 48 or 60-something to nothing. But, the younger kids get to play, but the guys that are seniors and all that, some of them, it's just not fun. It's just not fun in a lot.
And again, you have this eye on the postseason. Their goal is to win it all group 4. So, like, how do you prepare your team? But, in other words, down in South Jersey, they're playing a dogfight every week in those divisions. And, up in Central Jersey, they're having battles. So how do you prepare your team when the team you're facing in the playoffs, they're used to playing 4 quarters all out, whereas your guys really haven't done that since, maybe the second game of the season.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened in that game, but the score is 64-0. I'm sure it wasn't a battle it sounds like it was a landslide a little bit right there. But that's that. And then the last game was Lakewood versus Camden Mastery Charter. Camden Mastery Charter, 54-42. What a shootout.
I mean, I guess, obviously that's a tough game for Lakewood because you think that's a team you might be able to get a win against, but you did put 42 points on them. So there's certainly some positives you can take away offensively from that game, even though you didn't get the win. There's something to build on, and your guys at least confident, hey, we can score 40 points on somebody. That's got to at least help going.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Camden Mastery Charter. I tried looking them up. They're kind of an unknown, but I do know Lakewood, and LJ will have those guys fighting to the end. And I think they're a scary team in that division because they can score points.